meeting for today, April 11, 2012. Roll call. Mr. Sigala.
Here.
Ms. Beckles is not here. She's excused. She said she was going to try to be here. Mr. Castillo.
Here.
Mr. Godinez again is excused. Ms. Henry.
She asked to be excused.
Okay. Mr. Kim is also excused. He's in Korea, I think. Ms. Lin.
Present.
Mr. Moreno.
Should be arriving.
Mr. Roquelo.
Present.
And Ms. Ventura says she's going to try to get away. And then 7, 4, 5. Only 5 of us.
So we could be.
Okay, so we're going to start with,
Public comment?
we'll go with public comments. Item B, from the public on non-agenda items within this community communication.
Missy?
Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Parisi, and I reside at 1932 Walcott Way, on the hill, adjacent to or next to the site. Also, we're asking, really our community is asking for your support and assistance. Let me just give you a little bit of history. This neighborhood council was incredibly responsive when we were alerted that there was a move by the developer to obtain a tree removal permit. And we worked, we testified before you, we wrote a very strong letter in support of the community's request that there be conditions set forth prior to the tree removal happening, because we were concerned that it would just be another step and the property would flip, etc. So this neighborhood council was very responsive. Commissioner Alarcon, or actually Commission President Alarcon, was very responsive to the community's needs and actually issued a set of considerations that needed to be met before the tree removal permit was granted. Specifically, the biggest condition was that all of the permits would have to be issued and obtained before the tree removal could begin. Notwithstanding that very clear and explicit condition, the Division of Urban Forestry in the City of Los Angeles went ahead and issued the tree removal permit, even though only 2 permits were issued out of a 15-unit development. The developer has only obtained permits for 2 units, 2 models, not the entire 15, not the entire project. And so number one, we're asking that this neighborhood council write a letter of protest to the City of Los Angeles, to the Board of Public Works, protesting the action by Urban Forestry to grant the tree removal permit without requiring full compliance with the standards that were set forth by the Board of Public Works. So that's one issue, and we would really like and think it's important that this commission or this neighborhood council go on record. But the second thing really has to do with the way in which, so now all of the trees have been removed. The site is just horribly blighted. It's what was a very bucolic setting is now basically been denuded. There's a chain link fence around it. The developer was under a requirement, if graffiti occurred on the on the covering of the chain link fence, they were supposed to be removing the graffiti within 24 hours. Graffiti has been up for weeks. There has been no effort to remove the graffiti. As a result of that, the area which I've lived in the community for 30 years, we never had crime. We never had break-ins, we never had car thefts. We were really quite blessed in that regard. Now, as a result of the stripping of the hill, the graffiti on the covering, there has now been dumping that's occurring on the site or right adjacent to the site. But even more significantly, the whole area has now become a magnet for crime. Over the last 2-week period, one of our neighbors had his car stolen. The neighbor who lives right next to me had his Volkswagen parked in front of his house and it was stolen. The week prior, a young man who's a session musician had a very valuable guitar. His car was broken into, the valuable guitar was ripped out, of his vehicle, and another neighbor as well had her car broken into and other items were removed from that vehicle as well. So we really now have become a magnet for crime. simply because I believe of the way in which the site is not being maintained. And I really am imploring your assistance in communicating this to the council office, and I think it's very important that you consider these factors as you consider granting or approving other developments by this developer.
Thank you very much. Time is up. Any other person that would like to address this committee and any action that is not on the, yes?
Excuse me. Also, I'm a neighbor of Cheryl Parisi, resident of the semi-tropic spiritualist tract. And it's to let you know that on February 15th, 2012, there was a meeting of neighbors, city officials, and developer Planet Home Living that was attended by developers David French and Michael Marini regarding the 2400 Alessandro project. It was, Ms. Alarcon stated at that time that the city made mistakes, there were misinterpretations, and that she apologized to the neighbors. I'd also like to state that I attended the urban forestry meeting on Thursday, April 5th, 2012. It was also attended by Ron Lorenzen, Assistant Chief Forester, City of Los Angeles, as well as Planet Home Living David French, and one of his biologists, John Campbell. Ron Lorenzen at that time stated again, that the city made mistakes and there were misinterpretations. So I need to go on the record by saying that, and to let anyone know that I did videotape that April 5th, 2012 meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other person that wishes to address this committee and any issue not on the agenda tonight? Second call. Seeing none, public comment is hereby closed. Any reports?
Should go straight to the presentation.
Okay, let's go to item D. Item 1, discussion possible action presentation, an update by Barlow Hospital environmental impact report, and recommendation for the committee to hold a special committee meeting on Wednesday, April 25th for dedicated discussion of the project. I think what we can do is look at the presentation. When it comes to holding the meeting, if we get a quorum, we can hold the action. So, go ahead.
Thank you. For those of you who do not know me, I am Margaret Crane. I'm the administrator at Barlow Respiratory Hospital. And with me tonight are our project managers, Sarah Jensen from Jensen Partners, Francis Riddle-Hoover from the Jensen Partners, and Mia Susan, who is working on the project with us. So we'll be able to answer any questions if you have it, and I will update you on our project, giving you the timeline. I'm going to give you a little bit of background for those of you who are not familiar with the project, tell you the status of the project at this current in time, and then where we're going in the future. This is a rendering of what the project will look like when it's developed, and it consists of the historical area and some of the existing buildings on the property, as well as some of the new buildings. Basically, Barlow Respiratory Hospital has to have a new hospital because we have to meet seismic code. We have received all of the extensions that we can get to meet the seismic code, and if we aren't in progress by the end of this year, and we haven't continued with enough progress to meet the statewide architect's requirements, which is called OSHPD, we will go out of business on December 31st this year if we don't continue on. So what we have is two projects: the replacement hospital, which is taking us from 49 beds to 56 beds, moving over on the corner of the property. We are working with OSHPD on the deadlines and things like that right now with OSHPD. And then in order to monetize, to get the money to build the hospital, we have a few sources. We have a capital campaign going, which we're trying to earn about $5 million a year. We have not had huge capital campaigns before, so we're working on it. We can borrow about $25 million. The capital campaign of about anywhere from 10 to 25 million. And most of the money would have to come from the sale of the property and taking about 20 acres of the property and putting it on sale. What we have done in order to maximize the value of the property, number one, and two, create something on the property that we can control, meaning we in the neighborhood, we at the hospital, because these are our new neighbors. We don't want something there that is not in keeping with the hospital or in keeping with the community. So we have worked on a housing development that we've planned with a lot of input from various community members to input what we can in terms of the property. And where we are this year in terms of the timeline is we have the EIR, the Environmental Impact Report, should be out, and don't quote me here on this number, we hope by the, I'm going to say by the end of the month at this point in time. We've been saying this for a while, but we are getting very, very close, and we hope by the end of the month. Then it will go into the 45-day comment period, and all of you will get a chance to see the entire EIR, which is a couple thousand pages, and make some comments on it and read it or whatever. During that 45-day comment period, we're going to hold as many community meetings as we can to continue to get input and address people who live in the neighborhood and are impacted by the project. At the end of the 45-day comment period, we would like them to go through the city planning process where we end up with city council and city council approval. In the meantime, we have selected a broker to sell the land that we are not going to move on. And it's Land Advisors. They've sold properties in this area. They know this area pretty well. And they work with land, not commercial buildings. They're going to put the property on the market about the same time it goes out for the EIR, so that we can go out and the developers can start looking at it, they can start doing their due diligence, so we can narrow down the developers. And we'll talk to you more about the housing development. I'm just giving you the timeline now. So that the EIR project, the public comment period, the land sale, and the selection of a developer who would be most likely to put up a housing development that we are looking for will happen about the same time. This will then be a selection of a developer so that by the fall, Barlow can have the money to start completing the plans and building the hospital, because we have to meet certain requirements with OSHPD this year, by the end of the year, and we have to have the building project constructed, starting construction next year. Now, when we go through this with you, we have made some significant changes in the number of units on the housing development, because that is a difficult decision for everybody, and we realize that, you know, it's hard for some people in the neighborhood. I've talked to some other community meetings, and I know that there are people that would just love us to stay the same. We've been in existence for a long time, and they would just like to keep us the way we are. But unfortunately, the only asset that we have in order to build a new hospital is to have a housing development. So we've worked very hard with everybody in the community over the past few years to do what we can do to meet the monetary demands of the hospital, but at the same time look at the green space, look at the services the community will provide, look at the housing development, the density and things like that, in order to kind of meet the best that we can in terms of the community. The alternatives is, if we don't get to do this, if we don't get the approval to do this year, and we don't get the property sold, by the end of the year we will be out of business. We will go, we will not exist anymore, and then we will still sell it to a developer. So all I can say is then we'll start all over again in terms of the developer. We won't be there, we'll be gone, but we will sell the property, and then a new developer comes in, and we won't have any control. We have some control there. They're our neighbors, they're your neighbors, and it gives through us, it gives you an opportunity to make some controls, but who knows what is going to happen. The reason I say that is because I hope the community understands that no matter what happens in the future, as much as people would love us to stay the same, we're never going to stay the same. We're never going to be the same again. If we don't get to do what we want, somebody else will come up and do something, and it won't be us. So Barlow is never going to be the Barlow that we know again. But we're trying to work with the community to do the best we can for everybody. Anyway, that is where we are. So in terms of the replacement hospital, the other thing we have is we have 400 employees and if we don't get to do this by the end of the year, we have 400 employees out of the job. And it also is going to create about 4,500 construction jobs. We have a project labor agreement on the hospital, and the project labor agreement includes utilizing local people. Because we understand that there's a lot of technicians and people from the various trade unions who work and live in this area, and so we have agreed through the project labor agreement for the hospital part that a certain part of the labor will be from the local area, which is going to be very important for us, for the local hires. So it's, in terms of the jobs, we're retaining the hospital jobs, and you have our employees as neighbors. They're around here. And then the construction jobs that will be created in the project labor agreement.
Okay. Great. Good evening. Sarah Jensen. So we've been, this is not our first time seeing you and presenting to you, and we've really appreciated all of your input. We've been working now on the project since 2008. Actually, some of us have been working on it much longer, but 2008 is when the first schematic design for the hospital was done. We had, you can just barely see down here, the scoping hearing, which was in September of 2009. In 2010, there was a survey of 14,000 households. And now we're at this stage where I'm going to do a very quick overview of the EIR for you tonight and talk to you about where the project is specifically going. But I want to start with the objectives. So we have objectives in three categories: the hospital, the residential community, and the community at large. And so for the hospital, you can read these, I won't read them to you, but the first and foremost objective is to allow Barlow, which is the finest, bar none, respiratory hospital in the United States, nonprofit, to continue to be able to do its mission of taking critically ill patients who are on ventilators and getting them home. That's number one. Number two is the hospital is in those patients today are cared for in a facility which is tonight flooded. It is from 1927. It has unreinforced masonry walls. It is obsolete, does not meet any code, forget about seismic. I won't get into too much detail, but please feel free to come for a tour. When we have, if you approve the town hall for the 25th, we could have a tour potentially. It needs to have a new hospital. Barlow does teaching and research. And there's an issue now of hospital beds in Los Angeles County. Just quickly, if you overview the country, the areas where bed shortages are forecast in hospitals, acute care: California, Arizona, Texas, and Florida. Let's talk a little bit about the residential community objectives. The idea is to build housing near jobs, to reduce all of the traffic on the freeways, to preserve the history of Barlow, to incorporate the Echo Park design overlay guidelines, to use sustainable design and energy conservation, and very importantly, to create a program that inspires amenities with appeal to all generations, to youth, to families, to seniors, because one of the wonderful things about this particular area is that it is very multi-generational. A lot of singles are moving here, but there are lots of seniors and there are lots of families too, and we want to really feature that at Barlow. And then community support services and enhancement objectives. So Barlow provides charitable and low-cost care to the community through fairs regularly. We want to be able to guarantee the use of the hospital buildings for community meetings. You guys have your own headquarters, but many organizations don't. Ensure that the land use and architecture are compatible with the surrounding areas, and make sure that landscape and open space are incorporated into the plan, and provide transportation to the site as well as better pedestrian and vehicular transportation on the site. So that all said, the EIR, which we started back in 2008, analyzes an 888 unit project. By the California Environmental Quality Act, there are alternatives. The first three alternatives are no project, a project which uses just the zoning afforded by the existing zoning, which is agricultural, so you could build about 40 single-family homes. And third, which is that it would turn into a park and there would not be a hospital. Alternatives number 4 and 5, one is partial historic preservation, and that's 590 dwelling units. And alternative 5 is called reduced density, that's 675. After hearing all of the input of this community, we are sizing a project which still meets the requirements to build the new hospital, but also incorporates all of your thinking and is a 600-unit project. So what I'm going to do here is flip through both the project described in the EIR and the alternative we think is the most responsive to the community. So here is Stadium Way. These are the Dodger parking lots. Here is the existing Barlow Hospital. And you know that the hillside, it slopes up to the east and it slopes up to the west. And so this is about a 25-acre parcel here. Is everybody oriented? Okay, great. So initially, and now I have to reorient you because this is Stadium Way again, and this is where the hospital sits today. Here's the Dodger parking lot, and up here is Elysian Park. So this shows the 888-unit plan, which is all 4-story condos with a new hospital located today where the parking lot sits. Subsequently, we redesigned the project to 600 new units, keeping the hospital where it is, and then making all of these buildings along, that view corridor as you drive up Stadium, making all of those 2-story townhomes detached. And there are places for singles, there are 2 bedrooms, there are 3 bedrooms, there's quite a good stock. And then we do have 4-story condos that sit along the back of the hillsides here and up towards Dodgers, as well as 6 acres of open space that connects Victory Memorial Road up to Elysian Park. So these 2-dimensional drawings are a little bit hard to read, so I'm going to show you some 3-dimensional plans. We've just been over all of the various contents. So let me go to, this is what it used, the alternative. This is the 600 cents of the bowl as you come through. So we built it so that it's lower and then it gets higher as you get into the hillsides. So if we're now looking, this is the 888. If you're up on the approach towards Elysian Park, this is the 888, and here's 600. Because the small lot townhomes can be essentially set on existing grade, we are able to preserve a lot of the existing landscape, the trees that are there on the site that give the site really its sort of essential charm and character. And so that you can see. These are some renderings. It shows the preservation of the historic core, the green that I think you all know, and the goal is to preserve a smaller historic district
about somewhere between 9 and 12 buildings. The key ones that other organizations meet in will obviously stay. And then this is a view east along Stadium Way. So what's going to happen now is that the EIR is going to be released. And we will have 45 days, and we look forward to your comments. And during that time, there will also be the selection of the developer. What was the name of that? Planet, what's the name of the
Planet Home Living?
Planet Home Living. We've made a note about the Planet Home Living. Then there will be a final EIR that will progress through the city approval process. And you can really help us by actively engaging with us. Ideally, that's in a supportive capacity. We would really, really strongly appreciate your support. We'd like to answer any and all of your questions. We feel like we've completely redesigned the project based on a lot of community input at this point. And so we will have on hand, should you vote to have the town meeting on the 25th, we will have the historic technical consultant, the traffic consultant, the firm that has written the environmental impact report, the whole team of technical consultants for you to ask questions of. So thank you for your time and patience with all this.
The majority now is Ventura, so we have a floor. Is that before I call for public comment or going to, is that date, April 25th, appropriate if the EIR is not?
Yeah, so what I'd like to do, Mr. Chair, is if we can just take public comment and then we can have a discussion on whether the 25th or, it's all dependent on the EIR, but there may be an opportunity to do a couple more different types of things. So at this point, I just recommend we do public comment and then we'll talk a discussion about it.
Let's see, on item 1, public comment on item 1, please. Anyone would like to address this committee on item 1?
Can I just ask you a question? Once this development is going to be private, on private land, right? The land is going to be bought from Barlow and it will be a private developer for profit, right?
Right.
Okay, what about the roads coming in and out? They'll be using the parks roads?
Well, they would use the public roadway, Stadium Way, and, there wouldn't be any, how do you mean using the parks roads?
Well, huh?
They're all public streets.
They are all
not
public
private.
streets.
Yeah.
Right, and they're not just governed by Department of Parks and Recs, that's what I want to know, okay. And they can handle that kind of traffic, you're talking about 600?
You'll be able to see the traffic study and also ask questions of the traffic consultant.
We also, on Stadium Way, on one side of the street, the entrances into the
Development.
project are the same place on one side as they are now. So we only have 2 entrances on each side, so you don't have a lot of cars going in and out.
And schools
Any other-
will be the existing schools in the
Yes,
neighborhood.
and there's a whole section in the environmental impact report about the schools and, how much capacity they have and what the expectation is for the number of new students and all that.
Okay, and will the homes be like individual facades or will they all be identical?
So what we did is we took
Excuse me
the,
one moment. Excuse me one moment.
Too much?
Let me set some rules.
Okay,
Public comment is the presentation. Questions to them can happen when we approve the meeting to
Okay.
open, discuss the project. What we need to hear from you is on her presentation today, your public comments toward us.
okay,
Not to her.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on item 1? Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to know if there are any protected trees
yes, there are 91 protected trees.
and the fate of those protected trees.
We have them all identified, and where they can't be saved, we try to relocate them, and, there's a city approach to that. Where you can't relocate them, you plant some new ones of the same species. So, but There's an elaborate tree report.
Okay. And when would that be available to the public?
As soon as we can get the EIR to be released. Right now, we're fiddling with little things like the font size and things. We're getting, there's a process. You get comments from city planning, and finally they publish it.
Thank you. Any other person on this item? Yes,
Maybe they could speak to the extent of the historic preservation.
we'll handle that in the meeting of, if we go through April 25th. Today, I need to address what's in the agenda. Any other person? Any other person, public comment on this item? For time, any other person? Seeing none, public comment is hereby closed. Members of the committee here on the floor.
Mr. Chair, members, what we wanted to do is just get an update. It's been a while since we've heard this project. I looked on my old computer files and found some stuff from 2008 and 2009 in terms of the meetings that the neighborhood council hosted through the land use committee, planning land use committee. And so today we wanted to do an update just to get some members on to speed on what's happening. The EIR is a major step in the process. And in preliminary discussions with Ms. Jensen about an appropriate date, we were looking at April the 25th. The idea is to have a special meeting of the committee on just that one topic. Anticipating it being maybe a couple hours long, anticipating maybe more people coming out. So we'll probably look for a local venue, maybe Logan Elementary School or one of the schools that can host the event. The offer's been made at Barlow, but for me, Barlow's always been kind of isolated. I want to have a bigger opportunity for people to just weigh in. And so the recommendation would be to do it April 25th. Now, the only thing I'm not sure about is if it doesn't come out by April 25th, how that will work. So what I'd like to do is have the committee, one, approve the concept of a special meeting on this particular topic, and then shoot for the week of April 25th, or sometime between now and our next meeting, which is scheduled for May 8th, May the 9th. So we'll work with Barlow Hospital and consultants to see when that actually comes out. But again, I'd like to give as much time as possible as well so the community come in and weigh in on it. So I guess my recommendation would be to, one, approve a special meeting of the committee just on this one topic, and to work with the hospital and the consultants to at least try to have it 10 days after it's publicly put out. So if it's put out on the 25th, then obviously 10 days from that, or find a date. So that would be my recommendation, and I'll work with the committee members. But I would not like to have it on May the 8th, because that's our regular meeting, and so we'd like to deal with regular issues. So even if it comes after that, but at least 10 days from the release, and hopefully you guys will let us know that you know it's going to be released soon. So, but that would be the recommendation, that we shoot for the 25th. However, it doesn't come out.
The 25th would be called tentative.
Well, see, the thing is, it'd have to be out by the 15th for it to at least give us that 10-day window, which I don't anticipate. So.
If they release on Thursdays, so it will be the 19th or the 26th, or it'll be a Thursday.
Okay, it'll be Thursday. So I guess within 10 days of that whatever Thursday it's released.
That's why I'm saying that the 25th would be a tentative date. What we can do is communicate with the members of the committee to set a date. The concept of having a special meeting would be on record that we approve it.
Okay. Well, that would be my recommendation. So I move that we do have a special meeting on this particular topic.
So 1 second. Any objection on this video on this?
Just really happy to see the new architectural drawings.
Okay.
A lot of work.
So be it.
Thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate
Thank you.
the opportunity to come.
Thanks for Barlow.
Thank you.
It's a patching egg.
Yeah.
So when is the meeting? More than likely. Probably April 25th, more than likely.
Here or at Barlow?
Well, it will probably be at one of the
We can bring up 2 and
schools.
3 together.
Oh, okay, they haven't decided yet. I thought maybe it was Thanks.
Yeah, the same applicant.
All right. Item 2, discussion of possible action on request for the committee to recommend the Board of Governors support the request for small lot subdivision and other entitlement necessary for the construction of 7 single-family homes for a property located at 1363 Douglas Street, Los Angeles 90026. The ZA number is pending on item 3. Action and request to recommend the Board of Governors support the request for small lot subdivision and other entitlement necessary for the construction of 10 single-family homes for property located at 1330 Douglas Street, LA 90026, and the ZA number is pending. What's the relation of the two items?
The relationship of the 2 items is that they're proposed by the same developer, and they're approximately maybe about 200 feet away from each other in the same general area, off of Douglas and Montana. And so, but they are being brought forward together by the applicant. I do have the numbers that were filed for the ZA.
It would be voted for
They must be across the
Well,
street.
what I'd like to do is have them, since they're both items, present together, and it's up to the committee to vote on at the same time, separate them, whatever you guys want, but since they're both the same similar project.
Isn't one an odd number?
Let's have a presentation first and then we'll wait for public comment.
Yeah, we can, they do have the, since they filed the application.
Isn't one an odd number and one an even number? They would be across the street from each other.
That's correct.
Oh, okay. So they're not together. They're across the street from each other.
Yeah, they're across.
You might want to grab one of those items since you're a
Do we have a
neighbor.
couple? 2. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Save it for your
Thank
neighbor,
you.
Ida.
Huh?
Save it for your neighbors.
This one's yours.
Oh, okay. I'll give it to neighbor community.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's good. Is this the same, is this the same group that's considering building a Barlow? No.
No. Well, put it this way, not that we know of.
Because she mentioned Planet Home Living.
No, she said land leasing. Land leasing.
Land?
Land leasing. Is going
Well,
to-
good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to go and be here this evening. We appreciate your time as well. My name is David French. I'm one of the owners of Plant Home Development, partner with Michael Green. And then Jennifer Coker is with us as well as the project manager. Some of you are already familiar with us. We're the developers that actually acquired the site at 2400, also known as 2055 West Elmorand, 2400 Alessandro Street, which is
That's what it is.
the project at that location that was originally being developed by Henry Nunez. We're the ones that came in, we acquired that property last March, so we're the developers on that property as well and moving forward on that. At that time when we took over that community, one of our commitments was that as a developer, we weren't just going to be doing just one property. We drew a great attraction to the city of Echo Park in this area and wanted to do more and more development here. So we've been focusing on this area as we see there's a great opportunity within this community. On that, we have basically we've already closed on one property that we're talking about here tonight at 1363 Douglas Street. And the other property is at 1330 Douglas Street, which is at the corner of Douglas Street in Montana. One of them, Montana Street, at 1330, is an open piece of parcel right now. Just some grass growing on it. 1 or 2 trees are on that site as well. There is a homeless individual living on that site now as well. What we are proposing is you'll see in the package that we handed out tonight, we submitted for our tentative track map on both of these properties. These actually went in yesterday, we met with planning and paid the fees and went ahead and submitted both of them. So at 1330 Montana Street is proposed 10 small lot ordinances, 10 single family, which fits within the zoning of that area there. And through there, we've attached the floor plans and some of the proposed architecture and elevations are in there as well for that community. The architecture will be similar for those front there. It's similar in context to what we're doing over at Alessandra Street as well. Kind of a modern product type, very nice finishes. Just up the street at 1363 Douglas Street, we'll be doing 7 homes there. There will be 3 different product types. They'll all be, it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath product type. Very nice views of the skyline of downtown LA. We're using similar materials as well as we use on our Alessandra project. Combination of different materials. We haven't figured out completely yet. We like to have a focus on sustainability of materials, Energy Star appliances, and doing everything we can from that arena. We're reaching out to you. We didn't have the opportunity on the Alessandra project, as I indicated. When we took that over, that was already an approved vested in track map. As we're developing this, we're already reaching out to, we want to try to reach out to all the, as many community groups as possible to try to get input and feedback at the initial stages of this development. We've already reached out to the Echo Park Historic Society, the Echo Park Improvement Association, and the Angelino Heights Community Organization as well to get their input and feedback on this. And with this submittal, we're obviously very interested in receiving feedback as well. And we try to do everything we can to incorporate as many things as possible that are within reason. Obviously, it's very difficult to please everybody, but we do want to get as much feedback as we can and try to accommodate and incorporate as much as possible. So if there's any specific questions, we're more than happy to answer them. But it was a lot of information to just get through at this time. But this is the required, what you see in there, this is all the requirements that are required to submit a tentative track map. So everything is in there we've already done the preliminary architecture, we've done the site plans, we've done the preliminary grading plans on it, we've done soils reports on it, we've already done the environmental as well, and we've done the historic background as well on these sites. If there's any questions from anyone?
Do we do public comment?
No, we're going to do public comment. Okay. Item 2 and 3 is going to be open for public comment. Go ahead.
I'd like to know if the residents of Douglas Street were ever notified of this and what arrangements Mr. French and Mr. Marini are making to meet with community, other than organizations.
Well, we'll get to that.
That's your public comment?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other person in public comment? Any other person in public comment? Any other person in public comment? See none, public comment is hereby closed.
Questions?
Couple questions.
Our
I
questions,
usually ask
then,
questions
or
just to kind of get a
comments?
sense of what outreach. I actually drove out there
I
this
don't know.
afternoon and saw the site. And obviously, my goal was to see how close it was to the actual park and the trail. Because, one of the
He
things
shut
that
me
I'm
down
gonna ask
before.
is perhaps out of this project comes a little trail improvement that happens up on the top. Try to encourage whoever lives in these developments that they come forward to try to use the park. Whether it's a little bit of a seating area or some kind of thing that happens up as you enter the trail.
Up there where the gate is, where the trail goes down?
Yeah, so, maybe as part of the project, there's a little seating area or something that's created up there for folks to enjoy the view and so forth. But I guess the question is, and I did stop and talk to a couple of neighbors that were on the street, asked them what they thought about the projects. There was one that was aware that something was going to happen, didn't have any details. The other one, wasn't sure, but they necessarily weren't against it, but obviously they haven't seen the specifics of the project. So, other than sharing with us that you've talked to other organizations like the EPIA or Historic Society or others, is there any specific outreach you've done on both Douglas and Montana?
Well, Jose, first on that, we've reached out to them. We haven't been in contact with them yet, so I just wanted to just point a clarification that we haven't actually spoken with them. We've made attempts to contact them. We're just waiting to receive feedback from them. This has all gone very, very quickly here. We're expediting this process. Part of the outreach as far as the actual neighborhood, they're all notified just through the 300-foot radius process. So they will be, these packages which have been submitted to city planning, they'll do the distribution and notify all the neighbors within that 300-foot radius about the project.
And just a couple questions. The property on Montana and Douglas is the one that will have more homes, the 10?
Yes, I will have 10 on
And
that.
is that the one are these the ones that will be focused, the other packet?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the one where it's the smaller.
Yes, that's the 7.
I mean, they look a little bit similar, but I know that.
Well, what we have on it, if you look at it, if you look at the Montana, there's basically 5 homes that go across the top of Montana, and then there's 5 homes that goes across the bottom that'll have the drive aisle going down the middle. On Douglas, there's 3 across the top and there's 4 across the bottom. So the 4 across the bottom on Douglas and the 4 across the bottom on the 5 across on Montana, those 9 are the exact same floor plans. The 3 on the top of Douglas will be different, and then the 5 across the top of Montana will be different. So we'll have 3 separate floor plans on these. With the concentration, the way that we've done the floor plans on this well is to be able to take advantage of the views as well. So all the living area, as far as the kitchen and all that, that's actually up on the 3rd floor. We're up on the top floor. And these will also have all roof access as well.
So will these be condominiums or will be
No.
single families?
Single family, small or it's exactly the same as we did over at Alessandro.
Are you looking to have a private trash service there? Or everybody is going to be part of the city trash
It would
service?
all be part of the city trash service.
So conceivably, there could be 14 cans out on the sidewalk on trash day?
There could be, if you take in the trash and the recycling bin as well.
And the green one, 3.
So have there been any
3
thoughts
cans.
of perhaps doing something that's sort of a private service to try to
We can look into that.
that so that they can collect the trash and it doesn't have to go up the street every day?
We'll look into that, Jose. We haven't even looked at it, but that's a good point. We'll look into that.
I don't quite answer the question.
Jason, that would be, to my view, if you contract with one service for that trash, we're taking away that those from the city, the taxes to be charged on those containers. At this time when the city needs a lot of cash, I think not.
One thing on it, you bring up a good point also, as far as other things that people have looked at in these type of communities that do a common trash. So you have the trade-off. If you have more trash cans, but you do the common trash. When we've done those before, those become very unsightly and smelly and dirty, and it starts to feel like an apartment. We haven't seen those be real successful.
I think each person doing their own trash usually accommodates a better aesthetic because they'll try to keep it clean other than being common.
It's in the garage too.
Right.
Out of sight.
Another question, in terms of any type of
Am I
variances
allowed
other
to
than
ask
ours getting
questions
small
from the audience?
ordinance track map done, is there anything else in terms of setbacks or?
Now, the only thing that we have right now that we've accommodated for is a potential 2-foot dedication on Montana. There are also setbacks on there because it's fronting 2 streets. So we have 2 streets on Montana and Douglas. But the way the ordinance reads is basically the 15-foot setback is on the street that it fronts where your entrance is. So the entrance would come off of Douglas. Therefore, you wouldn't require the 15-foot setback on both sides.
Now, I think this is outside of, I think it's CD1, is that Council District 1 or is it still CD13?
Reyes.
13.
It's 13.
Yeah. All right, it's further down CD1, but have you met with the council office yet or talked to anybody?
We've had conversations with CD13 already about this. and advise them of the development.
There's Marcel behind you.
Say, on the issue of the last, they just
Mr.
got off
Garcia,
the
is planning deputy Marcel.
Sorry, reaching out to the, not to the organization, but to the residents in the area. Would it be wise of us to vote tonight instead of waiting because when they get
No one does.
packages out, when it's not?
But it's up to the committee, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. to
Because
do.
I feel that even though we'll have the say of
It's raping Echo Park.
giving a recommendation, it'll be good also to know that the community did get, not the organizations in itself, because I don't know if the people in the organizations live actually in the street that is going to be affected or not. And so,
So you want to see where neighbors come?
well, what I would like to know that what we get here tonight, because I feel like if I'm voting to say yes on it tonight, the neighbors come tomorrow and say, hey, you didn't even give me a chance to say if I want it or not. What they say will make an impact, but it does not cover our decision that we can go with it or
What
not.
we've done in the past on some of these projects, such as this, we've continued it for 1 month, but then the committee has allowed for a letter to be drafted and circulated to neighbors to make. On May 8th, we're going to be hearing this project, and then I've literally gone door to door and talked to neighbors. So I don't mind doing that again, if that's what the committee feels, which I would agree with.
So we haven't done that with this.
No, this is the first time we're getting it. They actually just filed it yesterday.
We just filed yesterday.
Well, that's the reason why I
So-
said, why don't we just continue to our May 9th meeting?
May 8th, so that would be,
May 8th.
yeah, so in the meantime, I don't mind doing a little letter. letting them
Because
know
that'll
about the
give them
project.
time also to not that is going to make an impact on our discussion, but we want to give an opportunity, if you get new input, we may have some change or anything that comes to us. Wednesday night.
Is it 9th? Okay. So no, that's fine, then I'll move that we continue the item to May the 9th. and then-
Continue, it wouldn't affect them in any of
No, because you guys won't have a hearing for a couple of months, so it's not.
We're just trying to get out in front of everybody very early in the process
Okay,
here.
so then I would prefer those continue on that date.
Okay, so we'll continue to May 9th, and then.
Can I just make one comment? For me, this is just a little bit too modern looking for the neighborhood. And if you could think about doing some, reflection of the other structures and their styles and making it look like it fits more into the neighborhood. And of course, contact the EPIA and the historical.
I think you're going to have an opportunity for to do that.
Really like to hear all their input before we can make a decision, but I see you've done a lot of work, and you're very prepared, and keep moving forward. Okay.
Thank you.
This might get to be an ugly process, but that's part of the process.
No, but they're doing the due diligence and saying that I do want them, because since I know that this was between yesterday and today, that they got this package out, it would be good enough for them to get an opportunity to answer the question that they did send it out to the 300 radius around the
They don't
project.
even
Now,
do that.
It hasn't gone there, it hasn't gone there yet, we just submitted
Yeah.
it, so that the city will take care of that, we don't physically send it
But
up.
I mean, even with the city taking care of that, if you do it on your time also, it'll be better for you, because then you know the reaction that you get future as you're here, and it'll get you more prepared. That's why I'm giving you that opportunity better, because if we go through and say yes on something like this, and then you go down to the hearing on something else and it just go off in your face. You don't want that. So it gives you the opportunity to get in the neighborhood, get it out there, so that when we say yes or no, whatever they say from the committee, you know you did your due diligence, and nobody can say here that you didn't do an outreach.
But we weren't expecting a vote tonight.
Oh, no, we
were
not
expecting
exactly,
approval.
not exactly a vote, but sometimes the committee can take steps just because if you're going through the legal process, it giving you certain advance notice that, so we don't want to do that. So we just continue that.
Mr. Chairman, could I just ask a couple of questions?
Public comment is closed, but the purview of the chair, I can listen to you. If
Thank
you
you.
just made the question, like if you didn't address it to me,
Could I please?
yeah, go ahead.
One, is this a PUD? And how much land under each unit? Are they going to be separate units or connecting walls? And what is your anticipated sales price on a finished product as of
Okay.
today's market?
Okay, they hear it, we're not gonna answer it right now, but don't worry, that is.
They'll answer on the side.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
I'd
on
like to
record,
know.
don't worry about it.
Okay.
Thank you. So we'll continue item 2 and 3 to
Actually, if
midnight.
I just need to ask a question, because
Okay.
there's a lot of material, if you will indulge me, please. A lot of
would you-
material to try to look at quickly to have public comment the minute they hand it to you.
Yeah, I know, but we're
If you
not
don't
gonna have
mind,
it
Mr. Chair, it's
tonight.
a very quick question.
Okay.
No one on the committee actually asked if there were any existing buildings on site that would be demolished or moved or worthy of
But
moving.
we tend to ask that on
I didn't hear anyone
midnight.
ask it, so I'm asking.
We don't ask it tonight because we're continuing the item to midnight.
Did
and
anyone
at
on the
midnight-
committee actually care if there's existing structures that are
Well,
being
well,
or not?
Miss Peters, you've been sitting on this committee. We will visit
Oh,
the
no, I
site.
won't come back to this committee because they'll be
Well,
coming to the historical study.
well, it's your prerogative, but we will,
Wise for
one of
you
the
to
reasons,
actually ask
one of the
them.
reasons why as chair of this committee, I'm asking to continue the item is because I, as the vice chair also, visit the site. I usually visit the sites of these projects also.
Sure.
So I'll do that to make sure that I know what is being presented to me.
Do you have
And
folks here? You can just
So,
ask the
so
question.
I would know if there is historic preservation issues, whatever, and I'll bring that up on midnight, don't worry. And I invite you, even though you say you won't be here, I invite you to be here if you're interested in seeing the project, yes or no. Thank you. Okay, members, then we have item 4. Thank you very much, sir. And your item will be continued midnight.
Thank you very much for your time.
Item 4,
That's mine.
discussion
No,
of
I
possible
don't.
action and request for the committee to recommend the Board of Governors approve a conditional use variance to Beverly line for off-site consumption and a new pole sign at an existing gasoline service station for the 24-hour operation of a proposed 7-Eleven food store located at 2041 West Beverly Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, 90026. The ZA zoning is 2011, 3243. And the environmental is 3244 PAF. So on that issue, I'll move it so we can open it. for public comment.
Yeah, I'll move
Does anyone second?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll move it.
Okay, one second. Public comment on item 4. Public comment on
Yes,
item.
yes, I have public comment item 4. Can you do a presentation, please, on what it is and what you guys know about it?
Well,
What is
okay,
it?
then what we'll do is this. Let them do the presentation, then you will have public comment.
That would be better. That way people can ask informed questions.
Okay, no problem.
I want to ask them.
Okay, there you go, Ida. Go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting us. I know that we've made an attempt to come to you before, but there have been conflicts, so I'm very glad we're finally here and being able to present to you. My name is Michael Pauls. My name is Michael Pauls. Okay. I am the applicant's representative. What we're proposing, give me just a moment. Right. Let me orient you with respect to where our development is located. We're located at 2041 Beverly Boulevard. This is Alvarado Street. This is Beverly. We're in the northeast corner of Beverly Boulevard in Alvarado. There's currently a service station with a convenience market and a modern automotive service repair building on the property. the service station has never really been run properly. They've been going through different oil companies that have been working with the owners of the property over a number of years. The property, if you would envision it, is kind of on a slope. It's kind of a hummocky property. It was never graded properly. There are a lot of issues with it. What has occurred in the last year is the property has been sold to my client. My client wishes to no longer continue the minor automotive service repair. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. Automotive service repair is a burden to the community. It's very, very loud. It's very, very loud. It no longer works with the types of advanced automobiles that we have, and the liability of fixing automobiles is such that you simply just cannot continue that aspect of the business. So as a result, my client wishes to grade the property. He wants to make the property more usable, more inviting to the public, and he wants to grade the property. And in order to do so, he has to tear the building down. And so to tear the building down, he envisions a new building on the site. What we're proposing is, and what we're here for, is a conditional use permit to allow us to maintain 24-hour operation. Currently, the service station on the site has 24-hour operation. It's been like that for many, many years. We're also requesting that we be allowed to continue to sell beer and wine within the convenience market. The service station has had a beer and wine license for many, many years. There have never really been any issues with respect to the beer and wine. And we're also asking that a new pole sign be erected. The pole sign is decrepit on the site. It's been added on to on a couple different occasions. It really does not, it's not a clean representation of the business or the businesses on the site. So, what we're planning on doing is, if I may, we are planning on, this is a floor plan of the site. We're planning on building a structure. This is the alleyway.
You can see.
Behind the current service station. And instead of there being a building in the middle of the site, we want to move the entire building toward the alleyway so that the rear of the building adjoins the alleyway. Instead of having a portion of a commercial building alongside the alleyway, the parking lot, we think it's a cleaner approach to ensure that there be a separation from the residential, that all the parking take place on the front of the lot, essentially alongside Beverly and Alvarado, so that we don't have any impacts, we don't have any issues. What the owner wishes to do is he wishes to establish a 7-Eleven convenience market at the site. 7-Eleven is going to be approximately, I believe it's 2,500 square feet. And the owner is going to operate the 7-Eleven himself. Additionally, what the owner has done is he has entered into an agreement with Chevron, a 15-year agreement, so that we're going to have some consistency in the corner. And in conjunction with the building, he is also going to be adding the necessary landscaping. He's going to be providing landscaping along Beverly and Alvarado. He's going to be repaving the site and bringing it up to current standards with respect to this important commercial corner. So it's going to be much more attractive, and it's going to maintain the same services. So if you have any questions, I'd like to make myself available.
Let's go down to public comment. Public comment on item 4 now.
Has the applicant, what is the position of LAPD and VICE for the new application. And how's that outreach been going?
We have not reached the senior lead officer for Los Angeles Police Department yet. We're still going through the environmental review process with the planning department. What we're going to be doing is we're essentially going to be maintaining all the services on the site with respect to the 24-hour operation as well as the beer and wine. There has not been an issue with this corner, and the public has become accustomed to those hours. So with respect to the functionality and success of the business, you really want to maintain the same hours of operation and hours of sale. What we will be doing, and I've had opportunity to meet with and discuss different projects similar to this with senior lead officers in the city of Los Angeles. I'm sorry, I would be addressing. The senior lead officers ask us to put in, generally ask us to put in a comprehensive DVR system in conjunction with different cameras on the exterior as well as the interior of the business. And the Los Angeles Police Department wants a record of all of the tapes and images to be maintained for 2 months for community policing purposes. Los Angeles Police Department, we're also in support of this, wants managers to go through the LAPD STAR program to better acquaint themselves with how to deal with various issues that can occur with any business, specifically with businesses that sell and have the responsibility to sell alcoholic beverages. The business owner and property owner also sends his managers to the alcoholic beverage control training program, which is made available free of charge and should be a requirement of all businesses that sell alcohol. And there's also a 7-Eleven training program that we will be sending all the managers to.
Thank you. To the member of the public. When the item is presented, and you listen to the presentation, your question is to this committee. If you have questions on the side that you need to ask the developers, you ask them on your time. Your question should be addressed to this committee regarding the presentation so that we can make a decision on what is being presented to us. If you devote your time in asking questions to the developer and he takes up your time, then your public comment is closed. Because it's not a back and forth. It is the committee's duty to give you an opportunity to address us, because we are the ones who are going to vote on whatever decision we're going to make on this presentation. Please let that be understood. Any other member of the public wishes to address this committee on the presentation you just heard? Any other member of the public wishes to address this committee? Seeing none, public comment is hereby closed. Members of the committee, you have the floor.
Members, as Mr. Pauls has presented, this is a project to replace an existing business that will transform the use, some of the use from, it'll remain a gas station, but then it'll become a 7-Eleven convenience store. And as you guys have experienced over the last year, our issue dealing with the 7-Eleven on Glendale and Berkeley, they do have a number of things in place as a national convenience store in regards to public safety. And so we don't have the application here tonight, but one of the things that we wanted to look at, or I wanted to look at, is current hours of operation. One, we're glad that the owner is going to be the franchisee, because we didn't have that experience with the last 7-Eleven. We didn't know who the owner was going to be. When we know who the owner is, we feel a little sense of more accountability from that person that we can work with. And so one of the things is, what are the current hours of the alcohol sales now?
The current alcohol sales hours are 6 a.m. to 2 a.m., 7 days a week.
Because one of the things that I would recommend that we did with the other 7-Eleven is to try to be compatible to existing businesses that are there, like the Vons and the Rite Aid and so forth. So their hours of alcohol ended up being from, I believe, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. But obviously, this is a different type of setup. But I would probably try to look at reducing some of the hours, maybe not from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m., but maybe something from 8 a.m. to 1 or midnight. But that's something we'll have a discussion about. The other thing that I did talk to Mr. Paul about was we were very, we requested that the new 7-Eleven ban the use of single-use plastic bags. And they agreed to, and I believe they became the first 7-Eleven, not only in LA, but maybe in the entire state, that has voluntarily said, we're not going to use plastic bags as part of our business model. So that's another thing that I put out there to request that this 7-Eleven also consider banning. The city's proposing a ban for the last couple of years, so they still got at least another year to go. So if that's something that we can also be part of our recommendation as we move forward. And then a little bit more, if you can explain what the sign, the pole, you guys are also requesting for a new signage?
Sure.
A new pole now?
Before
Yes.
he goes into that,
Sure.
or let me understand right. The proposition is to tear down the actual building that is there, regrade and repave, build something more modern. Does it include a service station, gasoline station?
This gasoline service station will remain, sir.
Because my concern was because of the tanks, the underground tanks.
No, it'll still be a gas station.
Yeah.
But are they going to be tearing up the old tanks,
No.
putting in new?
I think if you understand just
Well,
what's on top.
this is gonna be required like EIR or special permits, because if I know the area and you know that for the previous owner, the site is kind of yes, lumpy in a way, has some ups and downs, but my concern is the safety part. The project sounds good, but the safety part, because the tanks are very old in that area. I haven't seen those tanks be renewed for quite a while. And the way they're set because of the landscape, and the proposed, the way I envision the site, my concern is only I thought that it was going to be completely removed and then that's going to be quite heavy and tricky, and I know OSHA's going to come in and give you a good run for your time in there for security reasons for those times.
Well, my understanding is the tanks, the gas islands themselves are not going to be touched. They're going to be staying the same.
The same place?
They're going to stay. There's enough room on the back to build a building. So my understanding is none of that's going to be touched. And so that I don't think there's a requirement of putting new tanks or anything. It's going to remain the same.
Well, not necessarily the new tax. What
Well, no. So the islands are not changing. They're staying where they're at. The building is going to be.
so you're just going to tear down the building?
Tear down the building and then build new, going all the way back to the property line. So right now, there's probably about maybe a 20-foot space between the building and the property line.
That's quite a project.
Well, yeah, but
you know the area,
they're
right?
not gonna, yeah, I mean, it dips down, but they're not moving the chains.
What about the rear from the alley? Is the property adjacent to the alley? I used to be part owner on that area there also. So that wall, if they're gonna build that wall, needs to be reinforced barrier.
Well, that was another question. In terms of the back by the alley, is there gonna be any walls built? I mean, concerns about any graffiti or anything down there in the back there, is there?
Well, because see, the building is pushing all the right back to the property line of the alley. So that, the weight of whatever goes there, I know the concern is going to be that's in the architectural design and so on. But there has to be a strengthening of that wall. If not, that building is gonna collapse right down to the side of the alley itself, of the house. And then again, I still wonder that they're not modernizing those islands or anything. I mean, I don't see a rendering, like a 3D rendering of how it's gonna look.
Right.
Finally, because that's kind of, but let's go into it.
May I have just a
Sure.
brief opportunity to
Yes,
respond?
because now you're
Yeah.
addressing us.
Oh, okay. The tanks are governed by the state of California, and the tanks have to meet current requirements. I think about 12 years ago, all the tanks had to be replaced, and they're all double walled at this point in time. There are constant upgrades that are taking place with respect to service stations and the requirements. So the tanks meet all of the current requirements, are not leaking into groundwater. We're not going to be moving the tanks. The pump islands themselves, as well as the canopies, are going to be upgraded. They're going to meet all of Chevron's new imaging requirements. And so they're going to have that Chevron look with a light that goes directly down to the ground rather than out. You do know the area.
Yes.
Very, very well. Your questions are very, very to the point. Indeed, the retaining wall has to be reinforced in the back of the building. And additionally, because the property slopes down from the adjoining property, I think that's what you're talking about, we're going to put in, these circles are soldier piles
Okay.
that we will be putting down, which will act as a retaining wall, which will protect the property next to us as well as this.
That's one problem.
I live really close by to this. Anything would be a great improvement on what is there now, which is pretty much an eyesore. But you know, I'd really like to see a rendering of what this is going to look like. We all know what a 7-Eleven looks like, of course, from the inside, and thank you for bringing us pictures, but is there another brand we can have besides 7-Eleven? Because we already have 7-Eleven on Beverly, just down the street. We have 2 7-Elevens here in Echo Park. They are really close by. Is there like a different brand the owner could go with? Something more that's more upscale that will help historic Filipino town improve its image?
The property owner has another franchise, another 7-Eleven franchise. He's already entered into an agreement with 7-Eleven, with the Southland Corporation for the site. The 7-Elevens today, and because there are others in the area, have upgraded to fresher foods, fresh sandwiches on their basis, all these things. But that's, in answer to your question, they've already entered into an agreement with the Southland.
So you don't have a rendering of like a 3D of how they not the inside, as you said, because I know 7-Eleven on the inside already, how it will look on the outside, the aesthetic.
The
Of how it will
facade.
look, but
The facade.
the final product.
We don't have that today for you.
So how soon do they need this approval that we can get?
Is there any hearings that you guys, if we continue another month, would you guys have the renderings of the building, what it would look like?
Yes, if you would request a rendering, we can provide that to the
We would
school.
love to have that.
Absolutely. We would more than
Can you
happy
keep
to
in
do so.
mind that you are building a historic Filipino town, and they are trying to brand that area as a cultural tourism destination?
So in other words, if there's a 7 historic in the Philippines that you may want to model.
Of course, this gives you, as I said with the fire project, gives you an opportunity to involve your neighbors right there, which is Dr. Reinhardt's right beside the property, right down below. The doctor, the dentist, which is right beside them. The area, just give them a chance, let them see what is going to be in there. As I agree with him, it's I won't call it an eyesore because it's been here for years now, but it does need a little bit of juicing up. And I think, you know, seeing the rendering of what it would look like and bring it into the aesthetic of the neighborhood there, give you a, because on the west side, you don't want to look around all the trees that are there, so you want to see that east side corner because of that.
Make it bicycle friendly, those other aspects.
Bring it into the community so we can see a good rating. So I'll ask to continue it because it's not pressure that.
Well, what we'll do though also is a couple of things to take back to the owners for consideration that I'll bring up at the next meeting will be the hours of operation, the hours of alcohol, any concerns you may have of us requesting a reduction from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. to maybe 8 to midnight. Also consideration, as we talked about the plastic bag ban and all that. And then also to look at the bike racks, the rendering, the aesthetics of the building, and then the possibility of having the gas station have solar panels on top of the stuff of the islands, so that some of the energy is drawn from solar panels. So we'll look into that, having maybe be the first gas station in the area to focus on solar energy. There was a great project that I worked on years ago when I worked for a state assemblyman down in Southgate, right on the corner of Firestone and Garfield. They opened up a BP, totally solar, the first of its kind in the country. It was a solar gas station. So I don't think anticipate getting all your energy from the sun if you could, but at least the idea of doing some solar panels on top of that.
It does give you an opportunity to modernize a concept and throw in a modern concept of not a box, four-corner box, as some 7-Eleven looks like a four-corner box. And if you see when my esteemed colleague here talk about different brand names, if you see the brand names that are around, that they turn their aesthetics and drawing more clientele, because even though 7-Eleven is a national known name, if you bring in a little modern concept into the aesthetics of the outside of the building, it will draw in more clientele. We don't force you to say that we'd like to see you have all your employees in the 7-Eleven live in Echo Park, but we do recommend, if it's possible, to let the franchisee know that, hey, employ some of our neighborhood people from Echo Park. It's a recommendation. Keep it friendly, Keep a neighborhood store, neighborhood property, and I think you'll get the support from everyone in the neighborhood. So take that into consideration when you come back.
May I respond to a couple of points?
Sure.
With Mr. Sigala's recommendation for no plastic bags, I've already spoken to the business owner and property owner about this. He supports you 100%. Anything he can do to see that plastic bags are banned in Los Angeles, he'd be more than happy to support that. He thinks it's a great concept. It's already happened in the county of Los Angeles. It happened in the second largest city in Los Angeles County, being Long Beach, and there have been no hiccups in any of those places, so why not here in Los Angeles? With respect to local employees, the business owner, property owner always hires from the local area. He finds it enhances his business. And more than that, what he also tries to do is he tries to support public transportation. He provides MTA bus passes to all the employees free of charge. And those are great suggestions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll see you May 9th?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
That sounds good. Thank you very much.
You're on.
So how you doing, Ida?
Item
You
5.
look darn good. You look darn good, Ida.
Pretty disgusted.
Yes.
Okay. This is 1340 North Glendale Boulevard. Sale of beer and wine outside with commercial building with 15 outside parking spaces. 1340 North Glendale.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Armin Ross. My company is Ross Group. We are land use consultants. I'm here today with the owner of the site, Mr. Sammy Cahen, sitting right here. Our architect is Peter Boveda, sitting in the front row, and also the commercial leasing consultant, Mr. Mark Fuller, who's sitting right here in the white shirt. This project at 1340 Glendale Boulevard that is before you today Let me give you just a little brief history of the site. On your handout, you have the fact sheet on the project, and you also have a copy of the site plan, floor plan, and also proposed rooftop dining plan. This site is a former Phillips Conoco gas station site. It was owned by Phillips Conoco. Mr. Ken bought it from them. And they have taken responsibility to make sure that the site is clean from any contamination from the removal of the tanks that were once at the site. When you purchase the site, actually the city council office is interested in purchasing the site also, but the city didn't actually have the money to purchase the site, and Mr. Cahen purchased it. And we worked with the council office to make the site a little bit larger site so that he can bring something that would be viable for the community to work with there. As a result, we did go through a street vacation process where a portion of Lake Shore was vacated and added to the project site, and Lake Shore Avenue was going to be turned into a one-way street from north to south. The city approved that street vacation in June of 2010, and now we're proceeding with the proposed development on the site. Mr. Clement would like to bring something to this site that we feel would benefit this community. Right now, we do not have a tenant for the site, but we would like to, and we had initially spoken with a cafe operator. So we're looking for a cafe or a restaurant operator on the site. We may also, if we can't get a restaurant operator to take over the whole site, we're prepared to split the site in half and have some other type of commercial establishment, a bank or office building or something, and a restaurant on the other side. The site is approximately 5,703 square feet, and we're proposing to build a 4,045 square foot building. Of that, we've allocated 2,000 for a proposed restaurant, 2,000 for a proposed commercial or establishment, bank, or whatever other type of retail establishment we can bring to the site. We filed for the entitlement action. We do not have a hearing date scheduled yet. We're still going through the environmental review process. And the entitlements that we're asking for would be the ability, a conditional use to sell beer and wine on site. I know that the city had originally put erroneously off-site sale of beer and wine, but it is on site. I brought that discrepancy to their attention. It is corrected now on the city's website, but it is for on-site consumption of beer and wine. And we're asking for that entitlement now in order to attract a restaurateur to the site. We know that people, when they dine, they like to have at least some beer and wine with their meals. We're also asking for some deviations from the commercial corner requirements. We're asking that the hours of operation deviate from the 6 a.m. to 11 a.m., which is required for commercial corners. In lieu of, we're asking for 6 to 11 p.m. in lieu of 7 to 11 p.m. That's actually required. We're also asking that the trash storage and recycling area not be a part of the building itself, but it will be just adjacent to the building. We're also asking that the recycling area also be not subject to a space at the side of the building, because it's limited space of what we have now to work with as far as the construction. We're also asking that of the 15 off-site parking spaces that we're providing, 8 are going to be located in the vacated area. The portion that was vacated, most of it is going to be used for the parking. So as it turned out, in discussions that we had with the neighbors across the street, we worked closely with them during the street vacation area. They wanted part of the street to remain public. So as it turns out, the parking, when cars are parking, part of the car will be on private property, part will be on the city's property. So we need a variance in order for the cars to be parked there. This site is in an enterprise zone, which requires 2 cars per 1,000 for a restaurant or a retail site. We will have the 8 spaces there. In the reconfiguration of the street, there were approximately about 7 or 8 parking spaces there now, and in that space we're going to be able to put 15, but I think we have a total of almost 22 parking spaces that will be on that street. From what some of you may have seen on the internet, which is our original rendering of the project, that has changed. Peter, the architect, is going to go over what we feel is a new and better design for the area. And there's actually something similar in the area already, and that would be the Red Hill restaurant at Montana and Echo Park Boulevard, where it has a lot of the open glass and wood. This is a kind of a similar design, but it's designed to be compatible with the Echo Park community. Give the restaurant and or the office building or bank some feeling of open space and openness. There is some outside greenery on the site, and you can see that on the site plan. I know it's a little small, but that's what we were able to put together. We only had some short notice that we wanted to do for tonight, so we would have had something a bit more formal for you. But I'll let Peter explain the elevations and the site plan.
This is the latest elevations we came up with, and that was actually based on a suggestion from Christine and the other Peter, I forget his last name. But previously had a sort of a mission style building which didn't go over too well, and so we changed to mostly an all glass tinted building with wood framed column support, really sort of a post beam system, and then with a standing seam metal roof. These colors haven't really been finally decided on, but we're open to that. And also we did add some second floor rooftop dining. We think that there's quite a bit of visibility around the area that you can look at the cars and Sunset or beyond, and so we think that'll be a popular aspect of this for any tenant who decides to take this building. Like Armin said, we do have greenery, probably not shown as elaborate, will be both the north and the south ends of the site. And we tend to put more greenery here, show the site plan, but we'll be able to plant more trees that would actually screen the building more from Glendale Avenue and even from the opposite side of the street. We're showing this without too much landscaping just so you can see the building. And then we'll be able to hang some tenant signs. Again, we may get one tenant or two tenant, we don't know yet. So we're being a little flexible with the signage, but basically it'll conform to the city ordinance for signage. Then we have a site plan here. As Armin mentioned, we are going to have parking diagonally along Lake Shore. It'll be turned to a one-way street. You'll be able to exit and turn right, go back north on Glendale Avenue. We also have parking shown on the opposite side of the street still. And then we have the trash enclosure Armin mentioned. We'll be here with recycling. We have a loading zone here. And here we're going to be able to have the ADA approved access to the site from the south side of the street there. The north and south end of the site is going to have the landscape, which if you get a tenant for the restaurant, they'll be used for other dining areas also. so again, there'll be more landscaping around the trees. And even the diagonal parking will give us opportunities to plant some trees here and screen it out, so I think that'll enhance the appearance of the building. Some more landscaping here around the loading zone. So that's basically, we have a floor plan, although we detailed the interiors. The floor inside may change depending totally depending on what we get. The kitchen could move here, etc. So don't hold us to the floor plan, but it is a little over 4,000 square feet first floor area that we proposed.
Yeah, when we do get a tenant to come in, a restaurant tenant, they would have to come back to you guys for a plan approval, whatever type of interior design they want to get, any conditions that you would want to impose on the beer and wine sales. I mean, we're asking for something generic right now so that the proposed tenant would not have to go completely through the process, but just do a plan approval, and any conditions that will be imposed upon them, they can be imposed at this time. But in order for, as you know, it's a tough market out there to bring in any types of new tenants and new businesses into areas. So we're just trying to get a jump start on it. We're trying to attract somebody, hopefully by the end of this entire process. It's going to take some time for construction to happen, and anybody that we do get, we will be coming back here to this neighborhood council. Hopefully we can get somebody who's already in the Echo Park area and would like to move to a newer, more modern location from where they are right now. But from what we've seen from a couple of restaurants that we visited, people have been adaptively reusing some of the old buildings quite nicely. And it looks like, at least I know at the Red Building, they say they're doing pretty good business up there. So, and we would just like to bring something of that caliber, or even a little bit more, maybe even a national tenant to the Echo Park area, so that this area can have some of the more amenities that other areas in the city have.
Thank you very much. Let's go to public comment. Public comment on item 5. Public comment on item 5. Open.
Just want to make sure, did you make it clear that it's incorrect on the agenda? It's for on-site sale, not...
Yeah, they made it.
Did I hear correctly that this gentleman, the representative, wanted something temporary to attract a tenant from this, something temporary from this neighborhood council? Could I get clarification as to what that temporary is?
Probably contemporary.
No, it's not temporary. What we're saying is that whatever tenant that will come in a restaurant tour, they would have to come back with another site, another floor plan to show what they actually want to put in their house, going to be built out, and if there are some conditions that will be put on a beer and wine license, and they could be put on that tenant at that time. But we've asked for a 1-year plan approval, so they would have to come back to this body, to the city again, to get their particular approvals.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Yes, I see none. Public comment is closed. Members of the committee, you have the floor. Before you go into that, greetings. Mr. O'Gill, that corner.
Yeah, I'm excited that there's actually going to be something going up there, but I have a problem with your fact sheet and the history, and you're not even addressing the facts, and I think you're missing the opportunity that this is a Pacific Electric track. The Pacific Electric track, that the Pacific Electric train actually went over that property, and I would, if it was my deal, I would go with the fact that, make something look like the old Pacific Electric. Bring something back to the meeting, to the community, stylistic wise. Or I like this, preliminary thing, but push it. If you're gonna go with glass, go googie, go for it. We don't want middle of the road kind of Denny's.
We definitely don't want that, and I believe Mark can speak to that. He does not want.
It was a gas station.
It was a gas station.
It was a gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been hired to locate a tenant that will occupy this property eventually, and shortly after taking on the project, I did have some phone calls from people in the neighborhood right away requesting food. Everybody wanted food right away, but it was clear that they did not want fast food. And we kind of thought that, you know, after fast food, there's a quick serve concept, you know, the Chipotle and that kind of thing, but we really wanted to see it go to the next level. So we're really talking about someone who's going to be doing mainly lunch and dinner. They're going to need that to survive both of those meals. And in order to get a dinner traffic in, they're going to have to get beer and wine to be able to serve with it. And it'll probably be a price point similar to like Glendale they were talking about, where it's, you know, $13 to $15 entree kind of thing. But no, we definitely don't want anything like Denny's. We're not looking for anything that's going to be real mainstream. It's definitely going to be something that you'll see more along the Venice line, some of the new restaurants that are coming into the Venice area. And
It's a dynamic piece of property.
oh, definitely.
It's a triangular
Yeah,
piece. We don't
huge
usually see
visibility.
something you can make an architectural
You
statement.
already have fast food in that area, so.
No, we don't want
Yes,
that.
also.
We don't want
You
to
would like
And
to
the
or
property-
go to a restaurant type or something, you know, Glendale corridor, it needs a little, as I said before, you hear me talk, modernization, bring it in, but not losing the style of the community.
Right.
And to attract the traffic, because you have the traffic that crosses Montana,
Yes.
the traffic that goes between Glendale and then the other side of Alvarado. So, you know, you
Right.
have Rite Aid up on the top, then you have right across the guy with the chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So,
But the physical characteristics of the property don't really lend themselves to fast food anyway, so it's really not a direction for us to go. And also, it's probably...
doesn't seem too big to me, but I guess that architecturally, you can design something like that.
It's grown. It's grown a little bit. And also, it probably is a property that's going to lend itself in the evening to valet parking. And, you know, because of the limited parking.
Do we have any
in the area.
concern about the bus stop that is right there, that it wouldn't be moved?
Well, I mean, we can have some concern, but MTA is tough when it comes time to trying to move a bus stop. So almost takes an active guy to do that.
You know, open the drive-through.
It looks like a train station that
I'm going to,
Well, keep that in mind.
let me give it could we open public comment one more time? Just one more time, shortly? Yeah, go ahead.
To the chair, I'm just wondering what impact it will have on the children going to school at Logan Street.
Well,
It's a block away. People
Yeah.
cross the street with their kids to go to school there. There's always a lot of traffic already on Glendale Boulevard, if you're there, especially any time of the day, but especially in the morning or in the afternoon.
I think those are the issues that we're going to address, because I think also because of the rendering, I like it, and I asked for a comeback, they'll come back anyhow. But most of these corner properties, when being developed, the city requires them, the sidewalk specification and walking area for pedestrians being well protected, especially since we have a school nearby, that'll be taken into consideration.
Okay.
I think you're also going to find that with this type of business, most of them don't even open until 11 o'clock, so the morning traffic isn't even an issue. And usually from after lunchtime, there's a lull from about 2 till 6 o'clock, and that's when the kids are coming home from school. So it really, I don't think the traffic from the business. is
Then
gonna-
we have the signal actor, which is
All right.
And Mr. Chair, if I can also add, the city engineer has also requested that we make improvements on Montana and on Glendale Boulevard. So we will be making those improvements as part of the
I was
project.
just worried about them pushing the bus stop.
When you guys have any hearings coming up soon, and it's...
No, we don't. We're still going through the environmental review process, and as you know, they won't even set a hearing day. They won't even get on the pile for a hearing day until the environmental is complete and that appeal period has passed. And that's good for us because it'll give us a chance to meet with the, full neighborhood council if you guys so allow us to. And also to meet with some other business groups that we need to meet with in the area. We've already talked extensively with the two owners whose property is directly, on Lakeshore Avenue. We've talked to them very extensively during the street vacation process. So, and they'd like to see something developed on that side.
Considering that, you should look, whatever you're developing, usually you look at that 300 radius, but don't forget that at the corner of Park and Glendale, there's a new senior housing that just went up. Beautiful.
Oh, great.
So, hey, you may have your plans.
Senior happy hour.
Senior happy hour. No happy hour. No happy hour.
Everybody does.
Senior citizen discount.
The avenue is becoming nice, beautiful.
Yes.
On the other side where the Domino's Pizza is, I think there is a little nice restaurant.
There is back in the corner.
Yeah. So it needs a beefing up, but hey, you want to continue then also?
Yeah, I guess we'll continue.
Yeah, because you guys can come back to us when you have more.
Unless you want to refer us to the full neighborhood council, we can do that. Because we're just tweaking the design.
I don't have a problem then supporting it. I think I really appreciate the community's input. I did see the original rendering look like a big box. And I do appreciate Ms. Peters' input in that. And it looks like it'd be like a nice black canvas, I guess.
Well, I think Ms. Peter has a good sense of the community in that way that she would recommend something that is not an eyesore, because we'll jump on her for that. She does recommend that.
But other than that, I do think there's an opportunity to continue looking at the design. What you're asking of us tonight is nothing necessarily dealing out of concern with the design. You guys are responding, so I wouldn't have a problem moving the item forward. The only thing that I would look at would be just to clarify the hours of operation. So you're looking to have any tenant, you're trying to provide as flexibility.
As much flexibility as we can.
So there could be a tenant that offers practice. As part of the.
It's possible. It's not real likely, but it's possible. But, the tenant may come in and decide that they don't want to open until 11 o'clock in the morning, and during the week they're closing at 10, but on the weekends they want midnight. So there might be some massaging of the hours, as we go down the road.
And when they go for the plan approval with their new plans, they may have to tweak. We don't have
no breakfast place except the fast food, so try and bring in a nice one.
Well, so with that in mind, then I don't mind moving the request 1, 2, 8 through 2 through number 1, 2, A through D, and then number 3. So I move that the council look at that.
Okay.
So
you want to move it forward? Any objections?
Was there a second?
Second.
Any objections going forward? See none, so be it.
So the process works now, it'll go to the full board, April 20, whatever the fourth Tuesday, 24th? So April 24th, so you guys can plan on coming back.
Bring a full presentation and let us feel happy about it.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Bring Ms. Peters with you also.
Thank you very much.
If Lakeshore is 1 week,
Okay.
it is just somebody
Anyone
Number 6, we have to continue, no one here for that. So we'll continue to.
And everybody loves this.
And,
Everybody loves development.
well, it'll take a few minutes to do that. 2 minutes. Okay, let's go ahead to number 7.
Okay. Item number 7 on the agenda. Any public comment on item 7? Public comment on item 7.
Yeah.
Any comment on item 7? Seeing none. Public comment is hereby closed.
See this one.
Members, what I'd like to do is
Members of the floor are here, okay. Good night, CIA.
Wait, did we hear about number 6?
Number 6 we continue, no, we're on number 7. Members, I'd like to request that we move forward on number 7. Number 7 is basically asking us to move forward a letter, which I will have drafted with specifics to the board asking that the neighborhood council send a letter to Mr. Frank McCord, requesting that he consider establishing a community benefits trust fund that is funded with 1% of the sale price of the Los Angeles Dodgers, which would be approximately $20 million over the next 5 years for the benefit of the community. Communities adjacent to Dodger Stadium with funds to assist local jobs, training, summer youth employment, preservation and expansion of Elysian Park, graffiti abatement, community beautification grants, youth recreation scholarships, and other items identified by the trust fund committee. And the idea would be that Mr. McCord and his designee would create a trust fund committee that would be comprised of other community members, and then they would work on funding different programs and requests as they come up to them. So the idea would be for Frank McCord to give 1% back to the 99% in terms of setting aside this money. And I think it would go a long way to beautify the neighborhood, to help communities around Dodger Stadium. The way I envision it is that basically from the center of home plate, we go out about 2.5 miles, 3 miles, and those communities within that radius would be eligible for potential funding and so forth. So what I want to do is ask the committee to go ahead and support the concept to bring to the board when, and I'll have a draft letter that they can look at so that we can send to Frank McCord. As you know, he's going to be selling the Dodgers for $2.3 billion.
I think it's such
And
a
so
deal.
$20 million to help the community further along a lot of initiatives, I think is appropriate to ask.
But half of that is going to go to his divorce settlement. Do you
Well,
know
this
that?
is after the divorce settlement, so that, after that money. But anyway, so that's the motion I'd like to move forward.
Okay, second? Second, okay, properly second, okay. I have no issue with it, that's one, except that McCoy is one of the beauty guys. I doubt he's going to want to.
Shouldn't we be asking Magic Johnson?
Well,
I know,
No, I mean, that's been brought up, I mean,
More generous guy.
well, no, Magic Johnson, they're spending the money. I mean, Frank McCord bought the Dodgers for $400 million.
And he hasn't sold the parking lot.
I understand that, but he's selling it, he bought it for $400 million, he's selling it for $2.3 billion. Plus,
But the parking lot
I
came with the deal.
but it's like you're asking someone that's already bought a house to give more money. We're asking the person who's gonna profit from the sale of the Dodgers.
Share his
Who's
profits.
gonna share his profits with the community that has had a love and hate relationship.
This community.
Well, there's more hate relationship with the community. I go with the concept, except that I doubt that this guy is going to.
Well, look, all we can do is put it out there and ask. You can say no, we can say yes, but I think, it's a good thing.
That's okay. I'll go with it. We can ask there is something that I know about the parking lot. I've been saying this for years already. There is an understanding that some corporations have their eyes on the parking area between Barlow and the stadium for commercial development. It's been said before, it's been there, and I'm wondering if that's the reason why they left it out. So let's go with the concept. Let's keep our eyes open because I know I saw a rendering, really, and it disappeared overnight.
Yeah, I've seen that
Of
too.
high-rise condo, hotel, and retail space.
Commercial on the bottom.
Right on the border of Bargain.
Right.
That's why, I'll be honest with you, before we get into it, I wanted to see Barlow presented their project faster. Because if these people did that, they would put a damper on Barlow immediately. And that could cause what Barlow was saying. If Barlow don't get to do their project and somebody gets to acquire that, guess what could happen to us? And when big money comes in, the community usually take a dive. They would throw in some big development right across right up to Montecito Heights.
And I just want to make clear that the motion and the letter has
How fast can we get it?
has nothing to do with the development.
I know, but how fast,
Potential.
how fast can we get this out so that they can know that we have our eyes?
Well, I mean, the committee approves it tonight, I will go ahead and contact the Dodgers and let them know that the board will consider this.
Properly segment. Any objection on this going forward? None?
Let's see what the rest of the board thinks.
Okay.
Yeah, no, so we'll move forward. Okay,
Okay, let's move it forward.
thank you. And then, number 8, well, there's no updates that I'm aware of. That's just a standing item on the
Yeah,
agenda.
we'll keep 8 and 9.
And then, in number 9, the only thing on number 9 is that the Echo Park Library funding for the cleanup that occurs every week, we're gonna need to ask for another $600, so I'll bring that next month to finish through June 30th.
Okay.
So, but it's been fantastic, the library's clean, and it's been working here, so.
I've seen both libraries look different. They look better.
And that's it.
Okay, seeing there are no announcements here?
No announcements, but I want just to put this on the radar. A project that I worked on a while back ago, getting speed humps for Coronado Boulevard between Beverly and Temple. They recently resurfaced the streets, and the sign is still up to say there are speed humps, but there are no more speed humps. They did the work on March 19th. I'm going to be calling them to check in. I was told that they're going to put those speed humps back, but if this takes a long time and there's a traffic accident in between, I think that should concern this neighborhood council, because that was one of the reasons why we had the speed humps put in. A lot of people like to use the corridor as a way to speed through the neighborhood. And I just want to see that the speed humps that were duly put in, and we had over 75% compliance with all the neighbors, that they are continued to be in the neighborhood.
And then just 2 quick announcements. First, we're doing our 10-year anniversary at Tex Restaurant on Monday the 16th, so everyone's been invited and emailed, so you guys can come out and join us at 6 o'clock. Our new street banner is up, as you can see right here on the corner, so it's at the park. I want to thank Lisa for helping that together in the city council office, for passing a motion in council. And then lastly, I wanted to introduce a new deputy to Echo Park, who's here on behalf of Councilman Garcetti. So if you can just go ahead and state your name, and he's the new deputy here at Echo Park in Elysian Valley.
Hi, my name is Oliver Delgado, and I'll be servicing Elysian Park, as we just said, and Elysian Valley. It's exciting. It's the second week of the job. I hear there's a lot of good folks out there, and I appreciate how empowered and how involved everyone is in the community, so I look forward to hearing from you. My cards aren't ready yet, but if you'd like to get my information, I would imagine you would. I'd be glad to stick around and give you my email number.
You're going to be this area, Echo Park
Yes.
also?
Yes.
Great. Okay.
Great meeting, everyone.
Thanks, you too. Okay.
See there anyone? Motion to adjourn? So, all right.
Second.
Thank you for your
9:07.